Hi guys, this is MJ. Today I'm going to show you how to make a nautical rope with a styrofoam base. You start with the styrofoam ball. I chose a nautical rope from Hobby Lobby. It's thick, it's about 15 feet long. Plenty of rope for what we're about to do. This rope's a little bit thicker than most ropes, so you have to work with it a little bit. It takes a little bit of muscle, but we can do it. So first you need your styrofoam ball, nautical rope. It's usually taped at the very end, so in the beginning we're going to hide that tape inside the white ball by making a hole, which I'll show you. We'll have our glue gun, glue sticks, we've got our scissors, and then my stick that I use to poke the hole. Now the stick's a little bit more narrow than the nautical rope, so you just make the hole big enough to be able to place the rope snug inside, and it's going to have a little bit of the glue to help it stay in place. So I'm punching a hole. Look at how deep or how wide that rope is. Move your stick around just big enough, and probably about 1/4 inch deep, to be able to put the very tip of that rope into the ball to hold snug. First, put a little dab of hot glue into the hole. This is going to help hold that nautical rope snug. Push it in pretty good, and like I said, tuck in that tape so that you don't see that. Just kind of twist it into the hole snug. The tape isn't showing. Now I'm just letting it sit a little bit so that it can kind of set firm, so that as we work with it, it's not going to pull out. Now you want to turn your rope in the direction that the rope naturally goes. So turn it one direction, turn it the other direction, and you'll find which direction you want to follow the pattern. So follow that spiral, because you want it to be a tight fit. You want to be able to put glue all the way around, pretty thick at first, and you want to be able to hold that initial beginning of the rope snug to the styrofoam, because this is very important. Place a lot of glue on there, wrap it around super tight, push it down onto the ball, and this is one of the most important parts of what you'll do. Everything else is pretty easy. You want to start with a good base, push it down, make sure there's enough glue, make sure it's flat, push it down tight, and make sure there isn't any gap so you don't see any styrofoam. I'm waiting for it to cool, because again, this is one of the first steps, pretty important to do. Now, once you've seen that that's cool, you're pretty much ready to go. You're just going to start the pattern, go around, place the glue. Pretty good amount, because this is pretty thick rope, so it's not just a little string of hot glue. It's pretty thick, but you don't want it too thick to where it seeps through. Do it tight and press at first. Make sure you're pressing it onto that styrofoam ball, because again, this is where your pattern is going to begin. So just continue round and round. And this is actually so therapeutic. I love making these because, I don't know, for me, it's just something simple. Now I'm going to drop the rope down because it's just easier to work with. And as you're working the ball, you're going to be kind of twisting around and around. So you want to kind of untangle it at times once it starts getting tangled, because you want that pattern to just follow all the way around without being twisted. And you'll kind of feel it as you're working with the rope. It's pretty easy to feel it getting tangled. So keep going around. Just apply it. And I'm checking all those parts where the rope touches, making sure that there isn't any of the styrofoam shining through. And as I'm doing it, I'm kind of pressing onto the styrofoam ball and making sure that the rope's adhering to it. So I'm using my hand, applying the glue, untangling the rope as I go along, and just simply pressing it on as I go along with my fingers. I'm going to add some more glue here. And this is pretty much it. You're just kind of going around. Now when you get about midway, you're also checking all your rope to make sure that you don't have any gaps. But as you get about midway, you're going to feel that gravity is not working with you as well. So you flip the ball over and you're going to start gluing it from this direction. And it actually helps because the rope's kind of heavy and this is a bigger rope that we're working with. And then you just continue the same process. And this time you're kind of pushing it downward now and pushing your rope and making sure there isn't any gaps. All right, we're almost there. We've got a little bit left of the styrofoam. Untangle and then look to see how much of the rope you need. Section that off. And what you're going to do is you're going to use the stick again that we used in the beginning, and we're going to make a big hole. But first we want to use packing tape. I'm just going to wrap it around some of the rope. This is going to help it from not unraveling. So kind of guess where you want to stick part of that into the hole to cover the packing tape so none of the tape shows by the time we're done. So once you figured out the length you need, go ahead and tape it and make sure it's secure because it does come undone. So hold it tight, make sure it's stuck on all sides. Now you're going to want to leave a good portion for the rope that you're going to use for another project. So all you want to do is just cut like not even 1/4 inch of the tape. So find about 1/4 inch, just enough to hold that rope and keep it from unraveling. And that little bit you're going to be raveling around and you're going to stick in a hole and you're not even going to see it. So let's get this other part out of the way. We'll just tuck it up and get rid of it. And we'll use that for another project, and that way that tape helps it to not unravel. Now look at what you have left. Figure out where you want to poke the hole. Make it wide enough to where the end of that rope is going to stick in there fine. And again, deep enough to where however long you have that tape, that's going to tuck into that hole with some hot glue so that you don't even see it. So now this whole part, I'm going to fill the whole entire part with glue. I'm going to fill the hole with glue. And then the little bit of the white styrofoam that's still showing, I'm going to put glue around it because we're going to do all this last bit in one fell swoop. So do exactly what you've been doing. Just gently fill that in. Make sure it's flat. Use that same piece of stick like I have that made the hole. Tuck that end into the hole. And that little piece is just going to stick right in there. And you want to do that and make sure that it's flush. It takes a little bit of muscle because, again, this is thicker rope than usual. Now that I have that in, I'm just getting the excess glue off from that area. And then I'm pushing the whole top that I just did flush with the rest of the ball. So it's not sticking out, it's not protruding out, and it's just flat with the rest of the ball. And then I just basically get all the extra glue because we know how hot glue is and it gets on everything. Just get that excess off. And you're pretty much finished. This is the finished project. You've got a nautical rope, styrofoam base. That's what we started with. Look how pretty it is. And it's flush at both ends, all nice and tucked in, and it won't fall apart. And then I just like to decorate them with other balls if you're choosing. These are kind of fun, like I said, to make. To me, it's therapeutic, so really just go for it. Have some fun. You can do all kinds of things, all kinds of colors. I hope you enjoy.